Welcome to Diverse Orange, our conversations on Tuesday afternoons about arts, about the diversity here in Central Florida. I do another one on Thursday about arts and culture as well. And I'm pleased to have as my guest today, Mirjana Cesar. Welcome, Mirjana.
Well, thank you, Terry. Thank you for having me.
You were born and raised in, well, what we call Croatia now, but was Yugoslavia. Is that right?
Yes, that's right. That's correct. I was born in mid-60s in Zagreb, Croatia, capital city of Croatia. And back then it was part of Yugoslavia. And then in early 90s, when all that Eastern European was falling apart, that's what happened to Yugoslavia too. We had a war and there you go. Things are
Were,
different nowadays.
were you in a place where you were in danger?
Yes, actually, we were. Yes, and it's interesting story because lots of things, many things happened in '91. Disney feature animation studio from here, they were looking for animation talent in Eastern Europe, and they did a contest. And out of 2,000 applicants, they chose my husband. He was one of four, and then 2 months after that, the war broke up in my country. So it took good year and a half to get visa and to finally come here. So in that year and a half, I had to work for at army base, and my husband had to go in the war because they drafted him.
Well, um, I'm thankful I haven't had to be in a war myself. So
Yeah,
uh, that would not be pleasant, I'm sure. But
no, it
before
wasn't.
the war, what was life like there?
Well, it was great. Both of us grew up in the Zagreb capital city, but we were fortunate to live in a suburb of the city. So as kids, we had really great childhood because we would roam around with the bikes. We would go to vineyards to collect fruit, and it was just wonderful, wonderful childhood. And then later, Zagreb had so much to offer when we, went to the school and to the college. So vibrant art scene, everything that possibly can be offered over there. So there are still little things that I'm missing, like the little cafes culture when you just go in the city and you always meet someone, even if you don't make up the, appointment to see them. But it's a part of us that we'll always miss from there.
And there are mountains around Zagreb?
Yes, actually, there is a beautiful mountain that you can hike. It takes like 2 hours to hike to the top, and then you can basically see everything. You can see whole city, and you can see, beyond, depending on the weather. So it's great city for recreation because you have a mountain behind, and then you have a river where you can go, and it's just plenty to offer over there.
So it's it's a taller mountain than Mount Dora.
Yes, it is. Yes, it
Well,
is.
when you came here in the 90s, what did you expect this would be like, and what was your experience when you moved here?
Well, that's a good question because as everybody else, of course, we were watching American movies. So the movies portray.
Cowboys and Indians?
No, not. I mean, yeah, that too, but also also American living of the bigger cities, the New York, LA. So honestly, I was a little bit, uh, you know, afraid. Although of course unfounded. Just watching the movies, of course, that you don't get the right picture. But when we came here, the first impression when we landed in Orlando Airport and we came out of the plane and we went to that tram, and the heat and humidity that hit us, and it was November, but still, we came from low 50s in Zagreb. It was cold, it was foggy, fall time weather, and we came here into this heat, and we felt like we opened the oven door, and that was the real first impression of Orlando.
Have you gotten used to the heat?
Yes, by now, yeah. Yes.
Great, great. And then we don't necessarily have the little cafes all over, but what have you found about the culture here?
Diversity. That's one thing that is just amazing. I mean, this melting pot, and it touches you in so many ways. You know, like first we were the part of that animation studio here, and they really brought talent from all over the world. So we have friends from basically every continent right now, and that's just something that you cannot get. You know, when you're living in a small country like Croatia, you know, you're pretty isolated, so you don't have that experience. And then the second touch of that was when my kids were going through the schooling here, because of course kids are again, you know, their parents came from so many different places. And the third level of it is through my art, you know, people who come stop by in my studio gallery, and again, you just meet them from all over the world, and that's just a beautiful thing to me.
You have a studio gallery at the Favo
Yes,
location?
yes, I do. Yeah, and it's a just wonderful community. It actually feels like my new family because we don't have any family over here. So this is just like supplemental for me right now.
Have you had a chance to go back to Croatia? Do you have family there?
Yes, we have some family left. My parents are not alive anymore, but my husband's mom is alive. My brother is alive, and you know the further family. So we go every few years, and things changed, and we changed, and it's interesting going over there.
Is there anything besides the little cafes that you miss here?
From over there, certain foods, although, I mean, yes and no. Again, I love it here because you can get anything from anywhere, and it's not the case over there. But of course, you always miss something that you grew up with over here.
Are there any restaurants that serve good Croatian food here in Central Florida?
And not particularly. There was maybe one or two places, and they are not open anymore. But it's really hard to find over here anything like that.
All right.
The closest thing actually is maybe Turkish
I
cuisine, and
think,
there is a couple of
uh,
Turkish restaurants over here.
okay, we lost you for a
Mhm.
little bit there.
Yeah, sorry.
But you're saying the closest thing are some of the Turkish restaurants?
Yes, yeah, yes, because Croatia is interesting thing from gastronomic point of view, because we were surrounded by Italy, Austria, and at a certain point in history, Turkish Empire was also close to us. So there are influences from all these cuisines, and Croats mixed and matched everything. So any dish in Croatia is kind of pulled ingredients from all these cuisines around us. So it's an interesting thing.
So those three levels of encountering the diversity here, or your being immigrant, did that everyone you felt accepted everywhere? Did you have any issues fitting in, or the kids in school, or any of those areas?
No, my kids were born here, so they never felt, you know, like they came from somewhere. They are actually, they were always quite interesting in our heritage, although they understand language, but never learned it quite properly. And I don't think I ever felt any negative, you know, about me being from somewhere else. Maybe because I'm in art scene, I don't know, so there is so many people in art scene in Orlando who are from somewhere, so it's kind of again that international community. But in any other aspect, I never felt like not I'm not accepted over here.
And your husband was part of the Disney team, so they
Yes,
had a very team welcome, I'm sure, for him as well.
yes, yes. Mhm.
Great. Well, Mirjana, we're delighted that you are here, that you're contributing to our community with art, and thank you for joining me for this short conversation today.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you for having me again.
And we want to thank all our viewers for checking in as we talk about diversity here in Central Florida. We embrace and love the great diversity that we have here. Thanks, everyone.